A la, pruébame lo tuyo para yo creerte. Pruébame lo tuyo para yo creerte. Suéname la conga, suena el bongo, suena el timbal. Inspírate, hermano, con mucha alegría, porque ahorita aquí vengo yo.
All right. It's keeping it 100 with Jose Candelario here at 103.5 FM, WNHH, New Haven Independent.org. And this week we have the queen, a queen. Lakisha Jordan is in the building. We're going to be ready to talk. We are powered by La Voz Radio. Let's get rid of all that stuff out of the way. I'm sorry. This is just so many things. We're powered by La Voz Radio. And today we have Nora, right? Nora is powering us. No Harry. Harry's on vacation somewhere, living it up, getting them drinks on. Again, so Lakisha Jordan, where do we start? I mean,
hey, Jose.
How you doing?
I'm good. I made it. So I'm good.
Welcome to New Haven, where parking is atrocious.
This is what happens when you haven't been here for a while.
New Haven is kind of hard because New Haven always is like, oh, we want to build up downtown, but then where are you going to park?
Well, I'm very familiar with New Haven, and when I used to be here daily during the week, I had designated parking, so I was a little spoiled. Forgot what it was like to park on the street.
To be the average person.
Oh, come on, Jose.
I know you live the upper lifestyle.
Not at all. Not at all.
Welcome to the serve. Is that right? The serfs. That's the level of society I'm part of.
There's a lot of up and coming things clearly in New Haven, so I haven't been down here during the week for a while. During the day, there's a lot of construction, so that's good things.
Okay, good thing. All good things are happening down here.
Yeah.
So welcome back to downtown New Haven. I know that you're a Hamdenite, enjoying that nice cush suburban lifestyle out there.
No.
I apologize for dragging you back down here.
Knock it off.
Ms. Jordan, let's talk a little bit. I mean, for those who don't know, Lakisha Jordan is you're a professional, right? You work in the banking industry, from my understanding, right?
I have a long career in the banking industry.
There you go. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then you also are part of many organizations throughout our community, from the Schubert Theater to
the Connecticut Women's Hall of Fame, Phenomenal I Am, the Gateway Community College Foundation Board, social organizations as well, the Order of Easter Star, the Links Incorporated, just to name a couple. Right there, you just ripped off like 10. I mean, let's go all the way back to before you were Miss Jordan. You were just Lakisha. I was Lakisha. Lucky. Yeah.
And where are you from?
I am originally from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay.
I have a lot of family here in New Haven. My dad is originally from New Haven. My mom is from Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
I came here after I graduated high school by way of a gap year.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wow. And then you made it here. So what was it? What's the difference between Shreveport and New Haven? I mean, you're technically a transplant, because I mean you came.
I am a transplant. I came here. I had a ton of college opportunities, which, not that I didn't have them in Louisiana, but as a first generation college student, it looked differently here. And in speaking with my family, we all know that the area is rich in higher education.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came, I applied to several of the colleges and universities in the area. Quinnipiac was my first choice, but that tuition said Gateway and Southern, here I come.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a double alum from Southern Connecticut State University. I'm going to throw another organization at your commitment. I also sit on their Business Advisory Council as well for the School of Business.
So you have two masters?
No, I have an undergraduate degree in liberal studies with minors in psych, social, and public health, and I have a master's in business administration.
Oh, psych, social. Geez, that is such needed in our society, because
I was supposed to be a social worker.
You were supposed to be a social worker, but you're still working socially.
I am still very much involved in the community aspect of.
But you're in a different level. Instead of individuals, you really are now like working en masse, like with, entire community, which you're still helping, and you're still organizing and helping these organizations. So you went to college. what was your first? I'm trying to pick out exactly where I want to go with this. So, you come out of college, and you start professionally. What was your first professional venture? How did that go?
Well, I wish it was that simple. I worked several jobs putting myself through school, and at one point I actually stopped going to Southern and went over to Gateway to complete some of my credits to transfer back. While I was working or going to school, I started working, and I happened to fall into the financial industry, working at a small boutique investment firm. I had a passion for something that I didn't realize I had. I stuck around there for about 5 years. That's where I decided to get my master's in business. And from there, I went on to work in Bank of America on the sales side of the house and commercial and business banking, and landed there for about 10 years or so before pivoting to KeyBank when they came into the market after the acquisition of First Niagara. And I spent about 5.5 years over at KeyBank, where my career started to go in a different direction on more of the compliance side and working very directly in our communities and understanding where the gaps were in terms of providing financial resources to those that are under-resourced.
Wow. I just want to touch a little bit about how non-traditional your college path was. I mean, not every path, like everyone has this idea and this dream, especially in young people, that I go 4 years of college and then I'll get my master's in 6 and then I'll be done. But you can still be successful in life with a non-traditional path within your education.
The reality of it is many of us that are quote unquote successful, because that is a subjective term, have had very non-traditional paths to get to where we are. And I actually encourage it. I at the beginning, I said by way of a gap year. You didn't know what that was when I was coming out of high school. That's a new term, relatively new term that they use now, a gap year. I didn't know what I was going to do. I originally wanted to go to a college in Louisiana, ended up in Arizona with my dad, who is retired military. And I did take a couple of community college courses there, but honestly, I took that year off to figure out what it was I wanted to do and how I needed to, what was that plan for me to actually land in college. And like you said, we think of it in a very structured manner of traditional 4 years, let's do this and get it over with, go back and get another degree. And that's just not the case. There's so many obstacles that stand in the way of the most prepared college student that we have to navigate.
And you did that very, very well. So I just want to encourage those people who are out there who are listening right now, who knows of someone who are maybe struggling, who may have to take a step back and maybe take just a credit this semester and just to get themselves together financially or at least mentally. Let yourself breathe so you can, refocus, basically, is what you took that gap year for.
Right. And I'll take it a step further and say, college, they say college is for everyone, but that is a choice for each individual. But there are opportunities for certifications, different pathways. There's very lucrative careers out there that don't require a college education. There's a lot of
TikTokers.
Skills.
No,
Listen, I'm still trying to master TikTok.
I'm trying to be facetious.
That's another stream of income that, I encourage it. But there's a lot of hands-on skills-based careers that there's a need for. Electricians, plumbers, all of those different they're not glorified professions that you're talking 6+ figures for income. And I would encourage folks to explore those different pathways, have a skill-based income, and you can do both.
Wow, a professional and skill-based. I think a lot of people during COVID and went to those skill-based, and people were doing them nails and them eyebrows in their kitchen. Shout out to my entrepreneurs out there making it happen out their kitchen.
Absolutely.
But a lot of them came out, pretty, now basically ready to start a business on their own, and actually just need something physical now to continue what they're doing. You said that we ended up in the bank, and financial literacy is something that's very big in our community. I just came back from InvestFest in Atlanta, Georgia, where it was just, it was, for me, it was very impressive to see 15,000 people that were there in Atlanta, the convention center, trying to better themselves financially, trying to start their businesses, trying to start the trucking, or mortgage business, or trying to somehow get into that money-making mode. And I just wish more people in New Haven were in that mode. I don't know if you've noticed there's a little difference here in New Haven. But in regards to financial literacy, what is the most important thing someone should be thinking about?
I don't think that it's different here in New Haven. I think that there's a lot of historical implications to where we are as a community as it relates to our financial awareness. And it's about really each one teach one. And I grew up professionally on the sales side of banking in the for-profit world, but currently am employed by a credit union, which is a community-focused financial institution that has the same types of products that a banking institution does. I would encourage folks that are looking to achieve their financial goals to really find a trusted financial professional, whether it's at a bank, a credit union, a friend that has that knowledge, and start to have those conversations. Understand what the resources are. There are a lot of programs that are out here that can assist with bringing that education and awareness and that credit building and understanding what credit means and how you can use it for yourself to do all the things that you're trying to accomplish. Buy a house, buy a car, take that vacation, save for college.
So I'm gonna use you for an example. This is the best. Each one teach one, right?
Yeah.
When did you first learn about credit? Who taught you?
Honestly, many of us of this generation have taught ourselves. Historically, there's been such a lack of trust for financial institutions. My mom has always been big on, she still writes checks. She still uses a checkbook, a check ledger. She did teach me that, but the actual aspect of learning about credit and what that means and the utilization of it, I took some bumps and bruises growing up and had to figure it out for myself. My hope is, I'm not a educator per se. I've never wanted to be a teacher. So I like to connect people with those resources where they can find that assistance and that support to have that understanding.
But you and within yourself, you're still teaching. I mean, even if you're teaching someone how to use a resource, you're still teaching.
Touché.
You might not be teaching them exactly what your knowledge base is, right, but you still are leading people in the right direction, and your knowledge base is still being utilized because you know where to go to get that knowledge, and you're sending the right people. How important is it for someone to want to be fiscally responsible versus someone who just is a dreamer?
You can't accomplish those dreams unless you're physically responsible. So it's extremely important. It's very important for you to understand what it takes to make that vision, because I don't want to call it a dream, it's that vision into a reality. And understand that everyone has to go at their own pace. There's a lot of social media out here that glorifies and has this instant gratification that's unrealistic. Go at your own pace. Understand knowledge is power. Connect yourself with the people who have the resources. There's literature out there. I would say go to our libraries. They're free. Many of them have resources. They host classes. There are a lot of organizations that are here. I know that the state of Connecticut in itself is is a strong advocate for the Bank On movement and teaching, providing access to safe and stable accounts and financial resources. So I would encourage folks to really understand what that goal is, and to start to set the steps and accomplish them one at a time, and just start to check them off. And before you know it, you're going to look back and be like, wow, I did this.
Very good. You're listening to 103.5 FM, WNHH, NewHavenIndependent.org. This is Keeping It 100 with Jose Candelario, with my esteemed guest, Lakisha Jordan, who is a mover and a shaker, and is shaking and moving. You can't stop this young lady. She is everywhere. I met her through an old friend and a good friend. Now, we were talking about financial literacy because that is her concentration. But what I admire most about you, and is how people revere you as a leader. You are a leader, and when I see people like Phelan, am I saying it right? Fallon, who I think personally is a great leader herself. For someone like her to be looking up to you, says a lot to me about what type of person you are, and the influence that you've had around the people around you. Because you say you don't teach anyone that you know, but you've obviously been pointing people to the right resources and creating people, like it or not, after your own likeness, with your abilities and your ability to lead. You in part of almost 10 to 15 organizations.
It's not that many, Jose. Knock it off.
Man, you just listed like 10. I mean, we can go over the list again, but now they would be bragging. We don't need to do that. What does it take to be a leader? I mean, everyone wants to lead. We're in a society where everyone wants to lead, but what breaks you between a follower and a leader? And I always believe a great follower will always be an excellent leader.
I ground myself in my values, my morals. If it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't seem right, I can't advocate or co-sign it. I'm a strong believer in bringing who I am. What you see is what you get. Just being responsible, wanting to just create a vision and a path for my children and other children to see the impossible, to see what may feel intangible as something that you can accomplish. And it just takes putting one foot in front of the other. So I hold strong to my faith. I'm a strong believer in intuition, vibes, whatever you want to call it. And I really do gravitate to folks that are like-minded and have the same values and morals as I do. And it's a village. I am surrounded by some very amazing people that I tap into often, daily. I'm sitting here with one of them, Mr. Jose. It's been, honestly, I think it was meant for our paths to cross because we have so many connections and so many intersections. Truly have a strong belief in community and lifting each other up as a collective.
And I think that's what I think people revere most about you is your ability to lift people up and put them, on a path or on a pedestal that someone else more normally wouldn't do that.
I mean, there's enough room for all of us. I don't need to be in the front.
Please say that again.
There is enough room for all of us.
Sounds beautiful.
We can all sit at the table. We can all have a voice at the table. We can all collectively do more together. I don't need to be in the front. I don't need to be the face. I don't believe in, hey, I need to be in the limelight. There are folks, I surround myself with people who are the experts for that very reason. So I can tap back into them and say, hey, this is you. This is your space.
People always said, and there's one thing that people I've heard recently and more is if you hang around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th one.
Yeah, absolutely. You surround yourself with successful people, you're going to be successful.
And I would say that does work. I think that when I came out of COVID, I started surrounding myself with different individuals. I mean, with the Sharon Jordans and the Raymond Wilsons and the Rodney Williams of New Haven. I mean, I could keep going. Yeah. But I started surrounding myself with those individuals who have a certain mindset, and it does. You like literally are like dragged out of sand, like quicksand, because that mentality is infectious.
When you shift your way of thinking, you shift your way of life. And that is something that I've had to grow into. And it's a daily walk. I feel like the devil or people, or whatever you want to call it,
Negative energies.
Throw things at you to knock you off your center. And I pep talk myself a lot, and you just shouted out Mr. Jordan. He's my sounding board. Yeah, he's an amazing person, and he's a very logical and strategic thinker. So I hear you.
Yeah, he's also a financial wizard.
He is a financial guru. He is the financial guru of the two of us.
That is excellent. So you guys make a perfect team. And we were talking about her husband right now, Sharon Jordan, a New Havenite.
Yes, he's born and raised. He is a career high school graduate, and he is an HBCU graduate, Hampton University, the real HU. I'm not going to get in that debate, though.
Let's not do that. But you guys make a very, very, you're viewed as one of the power couples because of that in New Haven. And that's the word that's been thrown around when people have conversations.
That's news to me.
It's funny because, you have a view of yourself, right?
I do.
And people, you think, this. But when people talk about you in the community and people mention you two together and they say that word power couple, it is very, very powerful because you both bring so much to a table, and you do help uplift each other. How important is that in this day and age when you got these young people looking for the money bag, the way it's described? How is it important to really have someone that's on your level in equal or better than you in certain areas so that you can focus on your strengths?
What I'll say is we complement each other very well. It's never 50-50. It has never been 50-50. That scale will tip and balance itself out accordingly. But it's extremely important to have someone that that understands you, gets you, pours into you, but can also check you when you need to be checked. And be able to sit and have that conversation, those hard conversations. It's truly about communication. And honestly, the three little ones that we're raising, we want to ensure that we're modeling the right behaviors for them and teaching them how to navigate life, because it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
No, it's not. And you have 3 beautiful children right now. I don't know if there's more in the way.
There's only 3, but we have a host of nieces and nephews. So at any given time, between all the sports, it could be 3 plus a football team or basketball team or dance team.
And you're also a dance mob. You're balancing all these things in life. And people like. I like how when you're a kid and you dream, you're like, I want all these things. Can you testify to how much work having a family, being a business person and a civic leader all at the same time?
I don't sleep much. We don't sleep much, but it's worth all of it. And to your point, the things that our children have had the opportunity to participate in are the things that I didn't have an opportunity to participate in, mainly because, there wasn't, I grew up in Louisiana. We didn't have competition dance and traveling basketball. We had high school basketball, but extracurricular sports looks very different now than it did when I was growing up. So
it wasn't as diversified, number one.
it definitely was not as,
it existed, but it just didn't exist in our community.
You're right. You're absolutely right. We didn't have access to it. So, and to that point, exposing them to different opportunities has been something that we've been very intentional about. Our children have had the experience of the Yale All-City Honors Chorus and Strings. I play the clarinet and band.
Wow.
Never thought about the violin. My son plays the violin. He's been playing for 4 or 5
really
years
good.
now. Yeah.
Really, really good.
And he enjoys it, and it's not anything that we brought to him. He brought it to us, starting with the guitar and the ukulele. And then he said, Mom, I want to play the violin. And he's just been absolutely amazing.
How does it feel to be in a position to actually help your children and to have, because
I'm grateful. I'm blessed. I'm thankful. And we couldn't do it without our village.
That is so true.
Our village, there's always some type of coordination of pick up, drop off between an activity. So yes, very blessed.
It's one thing to want things for your children, but there's another to be in a position to advocate for them. And I think that's very distinct. And I think that that's what you utilize in your life, is that you've used the knowledge base that you've had to really help your children navigate through everything. For the people that are out there who have these children with talents, what's your advice to them? Because there's talented kids everywhere.
There's talented children everywhere. No isn't always the final answer. There's an exception to every rule. Always speak up and advocate for your children and understand what that means in the space that you're advocating for them in.
That is true. You're listening to 103.5 FM WNHH New Haven Independent.org here in the New Haven Independent, powered by La Voz Radio TV. I'm Jose Candelario. This is Keeping It 100 with Jose, and you're listening to the very articulate. I hate when people say that too. I hate that too. And you know what?
I was going to say, don't do that, Jose.
Don't do that. You know what? I won't. Mrs. Lakisha Jordan, who is sharing with us her past, her passions, and the future. The only thing I'm going to ask is always speaking to the mic. Come in. There you go. Don't be afraid of that mic, because people got to hear these knowledge, the knowledge you're dropping today. So we're going to backtrack a little bit more. We're going to go back into the financial sector. Okay. I kind of like doing these things during the conversation. Absolutely. And sorry, let's start saying, let's go through some of the good things that some healthy financial habits that someone should have or naturally do have.
Pay yourself first. Always pay yourself first. I don't care if it's $1 out of $10 or $1 out of 100. Start to build your nest egg. Understand what you have coming in and what your outputs are. So budgeting, start tracking what you're doing. And sometimes often small changes. Grab that small coffee instead of a medium and save the difference. It adds up. It adds up quickly. If your financial institution offers a roundup savings program, take advantage of it, especially if there's a match opportunity where those are different things. I know that the economy, I'm not an economist, and the rate environment is challenging right now, but the upside of that is taking advantage of increased saving deposit rates. Those are starting to rise. They haven't risen in a very long time. So trust me, I'm keeping an eye on that bond market. We're at 4.25 right now with the basis points out of the Fed. I'm very aware. And I understand being loyal to your financial institution, but shop around. There's many options out there, whether it's a bank or a credit union. Sometimes those rates are different. There's been a lot of pullback on the housing, but this may actually be a good time for you to look at purchasing that home. The interest rate may be a little higher, but your cost of purchase will be lower. And in the future, there will be opportunities to refinance into a lower interest rate, which will really reduce the chances of you being in a negative equity stand.
For those people are out there, we're talking about the financial market. I mean, I've looked at the numbers here, especially through all these public tools. The Northeast hasn't budged that much, believe it or not, as opposed to Las Vegas, Phoenix, and these other cities that right now they're some of these postings are like 40% off their top. There are $400,000 postings that are down to $250,000 in those areas to purchase homes. In the Northeast, it's always the last to lag, and during COVID, a lot of people left this area or came to this area, especially New Haven. And they plan to stay. So housing here is still pretty up there.
It is, but we're talking globally. We're not just talking New Haven.
That's what I'm talking
we
about.
have to think. We have to think outside of where we are currently. There's more to life and living and the world, just outside of just where we are presently.
But unfortunately, people who are born and raised in New Haven don't see much of the world. So that universal perspective is kind of lost.
But I think there's an opportunity for us to encourage that exploration as a community. That's why it's about exposure and access. And one thing that I really love about New Haven is we bring that culture to us. If you can't go, we do a really good job of bringing it here. Our arts organizations are very ingrained in the community. The Anthonys at Schubert and the Shelleys at Arts and Idea and the Jacobs at Long Wharf, they've done such an amazing job bringing the culture to New Haven. There are a lot of programs, community-based programs. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Miss Diane Brown. They do this work, and I'm sure I'm remiss in mentioning many, many more, but those are the ones.
We apologize for those not mentioned.
Yes, I apologize if I miss you, but these are organizations that bring the culture to New Haven, and that exposure, that ability to dream about what can be, and that inspiration to go outside of what is possible. So
I totally agree. I've been trying to do my part in all that and trying to,
yes, the Jose's.
Not even the Jose's, but that's why I do gravitate to everyone. I've met everyone that you mentioned there. I mean, Mr. McDonald over here, McDonald, right?
Yes.
Anthony McDonald over at the Schubert. We had a great conversation last week about his idea and his focus and bringing arts to the community and being more diverse in that, being more inclusive in what the Schubert is trying to do within the next year. So there's going to be a lot more programming that's going to be geared towards our community. So but it is now our job to come out and support and take part and participate in these things. And I do agree that everyone's doing a good job, as well as yourself. Now, you're part of the Eastern Stars, right?
I am a member of Sheba Chapter Number 1 in Ansonia, Connecticut, Order of Eastern Star, PHA.
Okay, very good. For those who are out there who don't know, can you tell me a little bit about these organizations?
The organizations that I'm involved in all are rooted in service and sisterhood. So we could probably spend another hour talking about the organizations and the service. I don't have another hour, Jose, but you are also a member of the Fraternal Order. So you know what it is to be of service and to be in service. And I'll go a step further and say, while I am a member of all of these organizations, these service organizations, you don't have to be a member of an organization to be in service every day to each other. It really does take one intentional act of kindness, one intentional, let me reach back and pull up someone, let me provide some education or some awareness that someone provided to me, volunteering at your local communities, regardless of what it is. And oftentimes, simple acts as chaperoning our children's field trip, that's service.
That's service.
And if we change how we think about service and understand that there's the small acts that add up, we can change our world.
We're in the universal understanding of instant gratification, not realizing that service to your community is not something that's going to pay you back immediately, but in the long run, the energy will come back to you. I mean, someone will end up giving you a resource or hands, and when you give service, you're actually networking and you're building these relationships with other people that can somehow fill a gap in your life. I mean, that how important is that to an individual?
I think you just said a key word. It's about relationship building and understanding what relationships are. And relationships aren't necessarily a everyday contact. It's a it's a reciprocal act that you have with someone that you trust and hold in esteem, that can meet a need, and vice versa. You can meet their needs. And understanding the power of relationships, network building is transformational.
It cannot have been said better by any other individual. I wish I could have you here all day, but it's almost time to go. So we're going to do a quick lightning round.
Oh, gosh. Oh, Jose.
I'm going to give you a quick lightning round. Hampden Board of Education. Since you're in Hampden.
My children attend school in New Haven, public school.
Wow.
They go to Betsy Ross Arts and Magnet. My children are very artsy.
Then I'll question you about the New Haven public school system. You got a new superintendent that's supposed to be in the search for. What are your suggestions to that?
I would suggest that parents get involved. Be intentional about your connection to your children's schools. Understand what that search means and how it impacts your children. We've had a number of superintendents over the years. These searches are not easy. They are very contentious. As long as we center the children and what's best for them, it should be fine.
I don't know how. Again, great answer. All right, next one. Yeezy, White Lives Matters.
We don't have all day. We're not even going to give him the airspace for that. Him or CO. Kick rocks.
Okay. Herschel Walker.
Another one. He should listen to his kid and go away.
Celtics head coach cheating on Nia Long with a co-worker's wife.
You know, I do have some thoughts about that.
Give me one.
Okay, this is one. The cheating is not out of the ordinary of the industry. I do think that I'm not condoning by any means his acts because they are not acceptable. But it's just another example of the power that people have over your career and profession and how things are not the same across the board.
Oh, okay. That is true. That is true.
But that's their business. I got my own household to worry about.
You can't be somebody else's.
Listen, if she likes it, I love it. That's her cup of tea.
All right. You're running for mayor of New Haven.
Absolutely not.
What would your platform be?
I have no political aspirations.
I know you don't.
And
but if let's just say we're going, what if? Yeah, whatever. What if this is the Marvel universe?
If I was running for the mayor,
your platform for mayor? What is your key? Your key for mayor? Even if you're mayor of Hampden.
Oh gosh, that's a whole nother conversation. I think there needs to be more intentional community building across both of those, the city of New Haven and the town of Hampden. There are still very areas that are just, I don't want to say segregated, but that's what they are.
Just say what it is.
It is what it is.
There are train tracks everywhere.
There needs to be more intentional community building. And I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, very good. All right. Man, this is the most PC conversation I've had in a long time.
It's not a politically correct conversation. It's, you know.
I can tell you don't want to offend no one, but
it's not even that I don't want to offend anyone. I tend to not get into political conversations because I do feel that everyone is entitled to their own opinion or beliefs, regardless of if I agree with them or not.
And that's what makes you a great leader. See, that one statement right there is so inclusive of ideologies that's what we really do need in our community, don't we?
We do need to remain open-minded and hear people out and understand it's okay to have a difference of opinion. Now, there's some things that are never okay and that I will never go along with. But some of the things that you just mentioned, they're like, you know, this isn't the sword I want to die on.
Okay, very good.
There's other places I want to spend my energy.
I noticed you didn't wear your Yeezy slides in today, so I think you're already taking a stand on that position.
I don't own a pair of Yeezys. I do hope that man gets the help that he needs.
We all do. We all do. I was a Yeezy fan until just, I don't know, maybe the past couple of years. It's just been too hard for me to even swallow. I don't know what other things I would like to talk to you about. There's so many other topics that we can talk about, but we won't because time has run out. This has been Keeping It 100 with Jose Candelario here at 103.5 FM, WNHH, NewHavenIndependent.org. And it is time to say goodbye, Ms. Nora. Is that okay with you? All right. Looking over to the people in charge here, who are telling me that it is time to go. Thank you so much for everything that you've done and everything you continue to do. Your last final words. You know what? I'm going to bring the music back down, and I want to hear your final word to the community. This is it. You got a minute, 2 minutes. Go ahead.
I don't need a minute or 2 minutes, but I'll say this. Get involved in your community. Understand that we're all connected, and that's how we build and lift our communities up. Be of service to each other every day. A kind word, a smile could really shift someone's day. I appreciate the opportunity, Jose. You know, I'm not really one to
the most humblest of the humble. Yes, you are.
But I've really enjoyed having this conversation with you.
See, look at that. You didn't even need structured questions. She's like, where you wanted pre-questions, like that was going to happen from me.
You have to remember, too, I'm also, I'm pivoting to the credit union model, which is, for those that don't know or may know, credit unions are not for profit. So we really, truly are committed to the members that we serve in our communities. Coming from a for-profit model, things are very structured and I'm still shifting away from that mindset of this is what I need in order to complete this task. So when I'm looking for questions,
see, there you go.
Mindset.
There you go. See, you don't need no questions now. You know what it is to improvise on the fly. You did a very good job of rolling with the punches and dealing with my craziness because I am all over the place, like people say, but I am focused. You got to admit that much. This conversation was very focused. It was focused on community. And Miss Lakisha Jordan, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you, Jose, for having me.
And thank you, Sharon, for sharing your wife with me for a little bit.
Please say hello to Bonnie.
Bonnie. Well, Bonnie's at home probably listening right now, hopefully.
Oh, hi, Bonnie.
So with that said, you guys have been listening to Keeping It 100 with Jose Candelario here on 103.5 FM, WNHH, NewHavenIndependent.org, powered by La Voz Radio for TV and all that good stuff. Until next time, have a good time.